This video is brought to you by AmerUSA.com, where you can screen tenants 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In this episode, we will be discussing Nebraska Landlord Tenant laws. The following is a summary of landlord tenant laws in the state of Nebraska as they apply to residential rental property. Topics include disclosures, withholding rent, the right to enter, security deposits, eviction, increasing rent, and more. Required disclosures. Contact information. The landlord or any person authorized to act on his or her behalf must disclose to the tenant in writing, at or before the commencement of the tenancy, the name and address of the person authorized to manage the premises, and an owner of the premises or a person authorized to act on behalf of the owner for the purpose of service of process and for receiving notices and demands. Security deposit limit. The security deposit must not exceed the equivalent of 1 month's rent for tenants without pets. An extra 1/4 month's rent may be charged for tenants with pets. It's important to note this policy does not apply to housing agencies formed under the Nebraska Housing Agency Act. Deadline for returning a security deposit. The security deposit must be returned within 14 days after the tenant moves out. Late fees. The state of Nebraska does not have legislation for late fees. Therefore, the only way a late fee can be enforced is if it's written into the lease agreement. Increasing rent. Nebraska also does not have a state statute on the amount of notice required to increase rent. Typically, this would be 30 days for month-to-month tenancies and whatever may be mentioned in lease agreements of longer terms. Withholding rent. If the landlord deliberately or negligently fails to supply running water, hot water, heat, or essential services, the tenant may give written notice to the landlord specifying the breach and may procure reasonable amounts of hot water, running water, heat, and essential services during the period of the landlord's non-compliance and deduct their actual and reasonable cost from the rent. Terminating tenancy and eviction. An unconditional 14-day notice to quit can be served on a tenant repeating the same act that constituted a lease violation and for which notice was given within 6 months. For all other lease violations, a 14-day notice to cure may be used, allowing for 16 additional days to vacate. The right to enter. A 1-day advance notice of entry is required. For more information, additional laws and articles can be found at AmericanLandlord.com.